and welcome to Watch It Played. My name is Rodney Smith, and in this video, we're going to learn the 3 to 7 player game, Stay Cool, designed by Julien Santis and published by Scorpion Masqué, who helped sponsor this video. If I asked you for the 7th letter of the alphabet, I bet you could tell me. But what if you had to answer a totally different question at the same time using dice with a timer going? Would you be able to stay cool? In this video, we're going to learn how to play. But stick around because at the end, I'll be joined by Luke and Andrea, and we'll play some turns so you can also see the game in action. To set up, shuffle the 2 different double-sided decks and place them in the center of the play area. Then choose a person at the table to be the active player and give them the dice. The player to their right will be the written interrogator, and they will draw a red card looking secretly at its underside, while the person to the left of the active player is the verbal interrogator who draws a card from this deck, privately looking at its underside. Any other player can then be designated as the timekeeper, setting the timer card in front of themselves along with the sand timer. If there are only 3 players, as we'll pretend that we have here, the written interrogator will take care of the timer. And that's the setup. In Stay Cool, players will take turns in the hot seat trying to answer a series of very simple questions. Coming up with the answers generally won't be the problem. Doing them quickly and managing more than one at a time, well, that might prove challenging and possibly hilarious. The game is played over 3 rounds, and during each round, each person will get 1 turn as the active player. Now, once everyone is ready, the player holding the red card, the written interrogator, they will ask the active player the first question on their card. For example, here they would read out, "If you can't decide, you do this with a coin." As soon as they finish reading their question, the timekeeper flips the timer onto the 1 space here. As soon as the timer is flipped, the verbal interrogator now asks the first question on their card. In this case, which is heavier, a very small elephant or a very large mouse? So as you can see, the active player has now been asked 2 different questions, and during their turn they'll be asked a variety of questions by the interrogators. But the interrogators must try their best not to talk at the same time, even if they both have a question to ask. Once one of them has started talking, the other has to wait until they're done. Now that said, as soon as a question has been asked, the active player can try to answer. So let's go back to the table and we'll see how that works. A question asked by the written interrogator will always have an answer that is either 3 or 4 letters long, and the active player must figure out what that word is and then spell it using the dice. The 2 white dice are made up of vowels and the letter Y, and the other dice are a combination of consonants. Now, the question that the written interrogator asked was, "If you can't decide, you do this with a coin." I think the answer is flip, which I have sort of spelled out here, but I can't find the F I need on any of these dice. This means I may have to rearrange some of the letters I've already used. For example, on this die here, I do have an F, and there's a P here on this die. The interrogator can see the correct answer here, and sometimes, as in this case, more than 1 correct answer can be given, either flip or toss. Also, the person asking the question can accept a different answer if they still feel it's correct, even though it isn't on the card. But once the correct answer has been provided, they then immediately read out the next question. But keep in mind, the verbal interrogator is also asked a question. In this case, which is heavier, a very small elephant or a very large mouse? The active player simply has to answer this question out loud, and hopefully they say, a very small elephant. As soon as the correct answer is heard, the verbal interrogator reads out their next question. How many zeros are in 1 billion? So while you're spelling out an answer with the dice, you might be able to answer the verbal question at the same time. Now, if a wrong answer is ever given, or the active player seems to have stalled out or is confused, the interrogator should read out their question again. In fact, to ensure that players don't just randomly guess answers one after the other in quick succession, anytime a wrong answer is given, the related interrogator must ask the question again before a new attempt at an answer can be given. Also, the active player doesn't have to alternate between verbal and written questions. For example, they might answer several verbal questions in a row while they're spelling out one answer for the written question with the dice. Although it's unlikely, If an interrogator ever accidentally accepts a wrong answer, well, that's lucky for the active player and you move on. And if a player answers all of the questions on one of the cards, that interrogator will stop asking questions, while the active player tries to finish the remaining questions on the other card. Now, while all this is happening, the 30-second sand timer will be running out, and as soon as it does, the timekeeper flips it over, setting it onto the 2 space. Once it fully runs out again, it's flipped and placed on the 3rd space, and again then finally on the 4th space. And once the time runs out on the 4th flip, 2 minutes will have passed and the active player's turn is now over. If the timekeeper ever forgets to flip the timer once it's run out, that just means the active player will get extra seconds until they notice. So the other players will want to keep an eye out for that. Also, during their turn, the active player can ask to skip one question. This will count as correctly answering it, so you move on, but then the timers move directly to the next number without flipping it over. This means it costs them 30 seconds to do this. It also means that you cannot skip if the timer is already on the 4th space. Once the timer is run out the final time, the active player's turn is over and they will multiply the values to the left of the questions they answered on each of the cards. So let's say they answered 3 written questions and 8 verbal. That's 3 times 4, which is 12 points. They'll then record that on a piece of paper. Now the person to the left of the active player becomes the new active player, and all the other roles shift to the left as well, with each interrogator drawing a new card. Once everyone has had a turn as the active player, you then go to the second round, which plays out the same way with one very important exception. Now the active player must tell the timekeeper to flip the timer before the sand runs out by shouting, "Timer." If the sand runs out before they call for the flip, then their turn just ends no matter what round they were on. Otherwise, it ends after the 4th flip as usual, and then they score their points and the next player goes. Once everyone has had a turn in the second round, the 3rd and final round starts, which again works the same way as the second, except that the timekeeper hides the timer behind the box. I have the box back there, so I'll just use the rule book. In this way, only the timekeeper can now see the timer. The active player is still responsible for calling out "timer" before the sand runs out, but now they'll have to make an estimate for how long they can go before requesting the flip. If the sand timer runs out, their turn ends right away, just as before. Once the 3rd round is over, each player totals their scores from each of the previous rounds, and the player with the most points wins. If there's a tie, the tied player who scored the most points in the 3rd round wins. And if there's still a tie, the tied players share the victory. Although Stay Cool is an adult party game, it works just fine with players of varying ages. And to help illustrate this, I'm now going to have on my 24-year-old daughter and 15-year-old son for the next segment. To give you a sense of the action, I've been joined by
Andrea
and
Luke Smith.
And we're going to give you a little highlight reel of us playing the game so you can kind of see how the game works. Starting with me in the hot seat. Are you ready?
Oh yeah, are you?
I guess I have to be. Let's go.
What do you do on a chair?
Name which one does not belong and why. Terminator 2, Avengers 2, Cars 2, Forrest Gump 2.
Sit is the answer to your question.
Yep.
I'm going to say Cars 2, I have no idea.
Use the dice to spell the word hip while balancing the dice on the back of your hand.
What is 2,471 times 0?
0.
Meat
Correct.
from a young cow.
A train travels from New York to Philadelphia in 80 minutes. Why does the return trip take 1 hour and 20 minutes?
Time zones.
Nope. That was clever, though.
I know.
I'm not even sure I know why. Oh, I know why.
Time's up. Time's up.
I'm such a dummy. I even had the answer in front of me.
Okay.
Why does the return trip take 1 hour and 20 minutes? Because 80 minutes is 1 hour and 20 minutes.
That's good.
Oh, no, I
What's
feel
the
like a
answer
dummy.
for
I wasn't
you?
even in the hot
Deal.
seat.
How many letters A are in the word abracadabra?
7. At 9.
Nope.
10.
Nope.
Chip, give me your question.
What is used to propel a rowboat?
Great question. Sorry, what's going on? What'd you ask me?
Abracadabra. How many
right.
letters A?
Okay. 10.
Nope.
11.
Nope.
12.
Nope.
13.
Nope.
14.
Nope.
15.
This is the word abracadabra.
16. 18.
No.
19. 20.
It's just letters A.
Oh, how many letters?
Yes!
Okay,
Oh my
right. I was thinking how many
goodness.
letters are in the word
No.
abracadabra. I'm trying to get the. I'm trying to look. There's a lot going on here, Luke. Don't judge me.
Fine.
Oh, it's just or. I thought it was maybe ors. Okay, or. 5. There's
Yep,
5 of them.
yep.
Okay.
What's
next
your
question.
what's your favorite movie?
Do I have any more from you to
No,
do?
you're
Okay.
done.
My favorite movie?
Yeah.
I don't know. What's your favorite movie? My favorite movie is
What is the capital of the UK?
Oh, jeez, wow. I should really know this. London. I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, what? Okay.
How many letters
How you doing over there?
are
Luke?
in the word gardener? Count backwards from 31 to 19.
Oh, no, I won't. I don't. Okay.
I won't.
30.
How many fingers do all players have in total?
30.
Correct.
Flip. Timer.
What school subject were you best at?
Drama.
Say the word cotton backwards.
Time's up.
Wait.
It is. Time's up. It'll sneak up on you, that timer.
What is the worst gift friends have given you?
Oh my goodness. Flip the timer, please. Act is the word, and I've done it.
Yep.
What's the question?
Worst gift friends have given you.
Toilet paper.
Okay.
Next.
What does donkey mean?
Opposite of empty.
Okay. Thanks.
Yep. Which one does not belong and why? Iron, television, pants, toaster.
Pants. Flip.
Name 3 tools other than hammer and screwdriver.
Level. And another tool would be like
The time is up.
stapler.
Stapler. Whoa.
I just want to cry now.
What's your nationality?
Canadian?
You asked that like a question.
What currency is used in France?
Tall is the right answer.
Oh, money.
is-
I don't
Yes.
What are Broken Mirrors, Friday the 13th, and Black Cats all associated with?
Halloween?
Fire's
Bad luck.
correct.
Bad luck.
That's correct. Back.
Write the alphabet with the dice until E. How many legs does a wasp have?
4,
Nope.
2,
Nope. 2.
6.
Yes! 6. Good job. Complete the
Wait,
following.
Luke, repeat.
Blank, pants on fire.
Help. Yeah, you need some help. That's I would agree. You don't know that saying?
No.
I don't know the saying.
No? Okay. Complete the following. Revenge is a dish?
Best served cold.
Yes. Tell us your age and then multiply by 3. You are
Also, your time's up.
Help, help! Pants on fire! To be fair, if your pants were on fire, that is what I would be yelling. I wouldn't be running around yelling liar, liar.
The correct
to be
one
fair.
is
liar.
liar, liar, pants on fire. Yes.
That was a bit of silly fun.
That was
And hopefully
good.
now you have a good sense of how the game works. If you have any questions, though, feel free to put them in the comments below, and I'll gladly answer them as soon as I get a chance.
Bye.
But what do we do now? Do we just sit here for a while, or?
I guess so.
I'm glued to my seat, so I can't move.
You can move, just give me a second. You'll also find forums for discussion, pictures, other videos, and lots more over on the games page at Board Game Geek, and I'll put a link to that in the description below. And if you found this video helpful, please consider giving it a like, subscribing, and clicking that little bell icon so you get notification anytime we post a new video. But until next time, thanks for watching.